Yo, I'm glad, Sister Penny, you mentioned that sometimes you wait for the compliment for the hair doesn't come. How do you deal with that? I don't know whether to call it a rejection or what. You cooked, maybe his favorite is steamed bread. Do you know how much work goes a coffee? And then you do the steamed bread and then they just eat. That's it. And then you do your hair or you have this beautiful outfit and you don't get anything. Or maybe you are in bed and you're like, and it's like, today, how do you wake up tomorrow and smile and be kind?
Well, as far as the compliment, look, my husband is just one of those people who wouldn't necessarily notice something. Unless he took me to the hairdresser. Then he would know. What's going on? Then I have to do this. How does it look? Because I realized that that's not high on his priority list. It's not top of his agenda, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world if he doesn't notice something. I don't have the problem where, as far as cooking things for him or doing things for him, that I don't get a thank you. I always get a thank you, even if I think that supper tonight. It always looks like he's had the best meal ever. So I'm fortunate in that way. But even if that compliment doesn't come after you've slaved over that stove, there are going to be other days that isn't a compliment where you don't expect it. So it balances the compliment. Don't always expect to receive something. Rather think of what can you give. Because when you're cooking for him, you are serving in the best way you know how to. If my sisters, they are mortified that I iron my husband's clothes, I decide every day what he's going to wear, I polish his shoes, I do everything that whole outfit. If he stands there, then you must know he didn't decide. If you think of those socks don't match the outfit, you must come tell me. He's going to say, what? Oh, really? Because I put the whole thing together. That might be my thing. It doesn't have to be your thing. And it's okay. It's okay. We all have our different things that we do in our marriages. I'm not expecting a wife of the year award every year because I do those things. That's just my thing. I like doing it. It gives me, when he stands there in front of us Sunday, I said to Mona, I said, yo, Mona, he said, my husband handsome. I said, yes. I put that outfit together and it looks good. So that's my thing. That's not going to be everybody's thing. So if there's something that you're doing in your marriage that is making your husband extremely happy, you continue doing that thing. Don't wait for him to do something for you in return, because then you're missing the point.
Well, she's covered it all. She's covered it all, but I mean, I also do the same thing because, men don't really notice some of these things. So it's just to say it in a, funny way, to say, oh, yeah, we can spend money and do whatever, and nobody notices. Then they'll say something. And then you actually find him saying things like that. You know what I'm saying? Then also becoming like you, because like I know recently, Will changed the frame of his glasses, okay, fortunately we noticed, but he had two, and then the second one we didn't notice because they're fairly similar. And like he would say, notice anything different? You know, like, you know, and then we actually had to look and see, oh, okay, they're actually nice, you know. So they'll then become you know, in terms of how you do things. And, you know, eventually it will come. And they will then, you know, notice without you, because they'll also learn, you know, from you that you're not upset, but I mean, it's nice to be complimented, you know. Like we always talk about it also, that they always say that we need to talk story. It can also be about positive things. You know, that they say there's something that we did. I think it's also with Fascinating Womanhood that you must make sure that there must be 2 positive talks before there's a negative talk.
Yeah.
So when you're upset with each about something, you must then think, okay, when did I compliment him now about things? So it's a good practice, because then they know they're not always anticipating us to be negative or wanting us to critique, you know, something that they have done. So it's good also for us to also give those compliments, because they also need them. Because we always want to be on the, because we're the ones who are feminine, you know, want to look good or cook good or, you know, those kinds of things. But it's also good to do it for them, because it also makes them, you know, it boosts them, you know. It's good, and you know, they know that, you know, to you, they're king. You know, they, you know, you know, they appeal to you. You love them, and you know, you appreciate all the stuff that they do. So they also need that. They need those compliments.
Okay. I don't know, for interest's sake, or to spice things up, how many years did it take you to feel like I've arrived now, I'm in this thing, I'm doing this marriage thing now, I've figured it out?
How many years are we married? 23. I don't, you know, when I think about it now, what I was telling everybody about the fact that now I know I'm the perfect wife for Noel, and I know that he's the perfect husband for me. You know, I used to, maybe a few years ago, I would always laugh at my kids, you know, when they moan, you know, when they're not happy, or, you know, they're sulking or whatever. And I say, hey, I'm the perfect mother for you. I'm the one for you. You know what I'm saying? God knew how we would relate, and that's why you are my child, and that's how, you know, when they want to, and then we always remind them, you know, push their way. This is our house. This is the Nimba house. This is how we do things here. So I think maybe I don't know, maybe when the kids were in their teens, you know, that kind of thing, because that's how I was thinking now. I'm thinking, no, you know, the things in my life, the people in my life are the people for me. And I think that's when I realized that, you know, I mean, we are the ones for each other. You know, do you get what I'm saying? I will never be happy with, I can flirt with whoever. I'll never be happy with that person, because I know Noel's my husband, same as him. He knows, do you get what I'm saying? We can try and, you know, people do all sorts of things, you know. You hear about people divorcing and going back to each other. You know, some won't, some will be stubborn, you know, and because they've made this decision and they can't, you know, go back or whatever. But I think, yeah, I can't remember specifically, but I know even with the kids, you know, it was almost like it happened simultaneously with things that were happening in my life, you know. Do you get what I'm saying? Because, like that thing was saying, if my problems may seem overwhelming to me, but should we all put our problems in, then I think, these are my problems. I think Dawn can stay, you know, with their issues. I think that's when I realized that with everything, everybody that's in my life and things that are happening to me, God knows they're there because He's created me to be this person who will be able to deal with those kinds of things. And I think the same way in terms of marriage. I don't know if I can say maybe 8 years ago, 10 years ago, you know, I sort of like knew that. I knew it was a lifetime commitment. I've learned that. Now I, you know.
That's like 50 years ago. For you to have it, to feel that way.
Yeah.
That's like
more
15 years ago. I'm thinking that I'm still in 3 years.
Yes.
It's gonna take me another 10 years.
No, but what I'm saying.
Not necessarily, because I think about it now, Sophia. The first year of our marriage, it was a very rocky road that first year. Because the first 3 months of our marriage, we were separated by distance. Then when we eventually moved in together and now started our proper married life as husband and wife in the same house. Because is this the same man that I married? What is this now? So that first year, it was a journey. Second, and now you must know, in that first and second year, you're also still trying to start a family, so there's lots of moving parts that's going on, and you still need to understand how your husband fits in his family dynamic, what's his relationship with his parents, and all of those things you're trying to negotiate and find out what's happening over here. So I think with us, because we were so focused on one another, we were so focused on our unit, just the three of us. The other people started realizing they need to respect our boundaries. And when that happened, I think I probably also felt I am I think when you figure out your place, some people it doesn't take long for them to figure out their place. Once you figure out your place, then you feel our purpose.
And how many years was this?
I don't know if my child was at school already when I felt that. Because one thing that I must say to you, my parents-in-law, they half helped us in our marriage. They were there to give us support, advice, guidance, but they were never there to interfere. If I had an issue with my husband, I would phone my mother-in-law anytime and say, Mommy, this, and that. Okay, you heard what the answer that she gave me one day. But if there were other things that I was having an issue with, then she would say, okay, perhaps you should try to talk to him about it in this way. And it was because I had that, because I had that support more than anything else. It was easy for me to think, yeah, I've got this. So I think I don't even know if James was in school already when I felt like that. And he's 21 years old now, so it's a very long time ago. But even in that time, when I felt like I've arrived, I was still figuring out how this marriage thing works. But I knew that
I'm here.
The rest of Kumhani's London must deal because I'm here.
I'm the queen here. Okay, so what advice would you give to people like me still finding their feet, so we can say, I'm here?
The one thing, Sophia, that I think is extremely important is that you tell Dinkley every day that he's your king. He is the man that you chose. He's that guy. If he knows, if he's secure in that, I mean, there's nothing like a confident man. And a man gets his confidence from what you put in him, what you invest in him. And you invest in him every day. Make him know that he's the head of this household. And that there's nobody else that you would want to be the head of your household than him. And as he lives up to that, you find that your marriage just becomes easier. But remember the way that you talk to him, the way that you make him feel is going to be what happens in the family, how the scene that is set for the family. So you will feel it very soon that you've arrived. But you must just keep the communication channels open. Talk to him all the time. He doesn't know what's going on in your head. And if your focus is on helping him to get to heaven, then all of those other things that you're struggling with, when you feel insecure, or when you feel like he's not listening to you, or all that type of thing, you're going to start thinking about it differently. Okay, don't need to listen because he might have something else on his mind. You're not going to be thinking about you the whole time. You're going to be thinking about him the whole time. And once you think about him the whole time, your mind shift changes. Because it's about giving. Giving. But remember, you can't pour out of an empty cup. So you have to fill yourself also. And you fill yourself by surrounding yourself with like-minded people who will be able to, when we come together, we're going to talk about the good things about our husbands. We're not going to break our husbands down. We might be able to perhaps talk to one another and say, hey, well, I don't know how to deal with this situation in my family. We're not coming here to come discuss our husbands and to break our husbands down, but we're coming here to try to be the best wives that we can possibly be. And if that is our mindset, as we said earlier on, you do what you can do. Don't worry about what the next person is going to do.
I feel like I'm in therapy session.
As long as the therapy helps.
It definitely helps.
They say what? Happy wife, happy life.
Yes.
Yeah, they say that.
But we actually set the tone for our families. It doesn't take a lot to make us happy, like I said earlier. Like we can actually, once we realize that our homes are, the husband is the head of the family, but the tone, and the mood in the home is set by us. And you know how it's, our tongues, actions and whatever, they can be dangerous, but they can also be of such good influence. So it's important to always be empowered in knowing that, that just that small positive step will reap good habits and will also set the tone for your home and just for the way we do things in the home. And I think also just to mention what she said, it's so important to be like-minded, especially when there are kids involved. We haven't really touched on that. The kids know that whatever I've said, that's what the father says. Whatever the father said, that's what the mother says. Yes, it will be that sons find it easier to speak to mom, maybe girls find it easier to speak to their dads, but they know that we are the same. We basically are speaking the same thing, so that because kids can also cause issues in a family. We've basically spoken about partners, but remember, we must also remember that this home is about us. We are the ones who met, and we are the ones who are going to be together. We started, isn't it? And they're also going to leave us. So, like what she was saying, and we can't go from an empty cup, and we can't neglect our partners and go about whatever that we're doing, raising kids or whatever, and then think once the kids are out, we're going to pick up. When time has passed, it's always important to have that me time, that together time, with our husbands, without all the other things that happen, in life. But we must also help ourselves so that we can then be able to hold our families together as moms and as wives.
And just to something that comes to mind now from what Paul was saying, when James left the house, when he went away to study, he was so stressed about his father and Because our whole world revolved around him when he was in the house. He thought, hey, what are these two people going to do with each other? But he didn't know that we always made time for each other. Although it looked like he was the center of our universe, we were each other's center. So when he left, as tough as what it was, I still had my friend that I could have this nice banter with, that could do things together. I suppose we from a different generation, because we always said we can't wait for the children to go out of the house so that we can have our time. Because you half not put your life on hold, but your priorities change when your children are in the house. Then the focus is on their needs. When they're out of the house, then it's time to live again. So if you did not, as Paul said, if you didn't make time for one another, then you're going to wonder who's the stranger. You don't know what to say to this guy. You just feel odd. So while you're building your family, you mustn't neglect your marriage. Because most of us women, we focus so much on children that we forget that the children need a safe place. They need parents who love each other. They need parents who respect each other. They need parents who are friends. Because once they have the safety of that, then they can go out into the world and be the best people that they can be.
Okay, and what advice would you give to the single ladies who feel like the good guys don't exist anymore?
They're there. They are there.
They are. We have James.
And we have me.
So they are there.
They are there, I can promise you. And with us in the church isn't just in East London. The church isn't just in Cape Town. The church is all over the world. What advice that I want to give young ladies looking for a husband is travel. Now don't go out with a board on your chest yet and say, I'm looking for a man. Travel and see how the rest of the world lives. There are people all over the world looking for good ones who love the Lord. But you can't sit in your corner and think that the guy is going to come to you. Put yourself out there. And don't just grab whatever is around you.
Don't settle.
Don't settle. Even if he's in the church, no? Even if he's in the church, if he doesn't have those qualities that you want in a man, then he's not the man for you. Go travel, go see who is out there.
You want to add?
She summed it all up.
And the single ladies who see good in every guy, what do you say to them?
They're in trouble. Have your list. Have your list. Remember, on top of your list must be, this guy must love the Lord. Then you have all of the other things. You must be confident. You must love children. You must this, you must that. Have your list. Have your list. Write it down. Have a concrete thing. Don't think that okay, your list mustn't be like 3 pages long now, please. just those top 10 things. And if one of those things, one of your non-negotiables isn't on that list, he's not the guy. Don't think you are going to change him. His mother had him for 25 years and she couldn't change him. What makes you think you're going to change him?
No, I always use the same analogy when it comes to the ladies who say they're gonna date or get married outside the church. They say there's no guys in the church. I say, why don't you use the same faith that you can change somebody out there? To say God must have somebody for me in the church. Why do you choose to have faith over that thing that is
that you don't really know.
rather than this one which is highly probable?
And it's also good to seek counsel. I mean, it doesn't harm, especially in the church, that with your list, you just share with a few people, ask them to pray with you, you know, for that, because God hears our prayers. God does, and you know, we can also be on the lookout, because we know, you know, we all travel to different places or whatever. You know, you can always, I mean, at the end of the day, it's your choice. You know, I can have an idea of saying, oh, okay, you know, this is what can be safe, you know, or whatever, and it seems like, you know, somebody that they could meet, get them to meet, and at the end of the day, they both have to make that choice if it's something that they would want to explore. But it's also important that you also, you know, get other people, older women, or you know, just your peers, to pray about it, and you know, God will get you to meet somebody. I mean, some of us, we're not even in the church, and you know, we have good mates, you know. So yeah, it is. You know, you would never think you would be where you are. You know, like even if I think of when I first met Noel, do you think, you know, we would be here? You know, kids grown up, you know, our last one in the trick, you know, those kinds of things. But you can see how we mustn't forget where we've come from. You know, do you know what I'm saying? So it's also important to instill that faith and that hope in others, you know, around us, to say, this is where I come from. You know, like I said earlier, we're talking after 23 years of marriage. We're not saying the same thing first year, you know, in our marriage. So it's important that, you know, people get that holistic picture, knowing that at the end of the day, the foundation is also important. That we know that we're on a good foundation, then there's a lot we can accomplish, you know, from a good foundation.
Okay, is there anything you think we didn't touch on and it's important? Oh, I didn't ask that question. My honest question. So, where do we draw the line between keeping things to myself and not hanging out my dirty laundry, and seeking counsel so that I do not be depressed or have anxiety, not sharing things with anybody?
Something I'll never forget, but never forgotten parts of it. When I can't remember if James was like a teen or matric, or maybe it was soon after he got baptized. Dawn mentioned something to say. I can't remember if talking to him about that you can always seek counsel or advice from different people. And I think specifically you were referring to me and saying the only reason Antigua won't repeat it if it's illegal. I can't remember the things you mentioned. So we must be those people before we even think about who to talk to. But we must be those people who will keep people's things confidential. You know, keep people's things in a safe space so that people can feel safe to then talk to us. Which then means that other people will reciprocate that thing. Obviously, if it's abuse and those kinds of things, we must talk about those things because we don't want people to hide, you know, those kinds of things. I think that is the balance, that we must be the people that we would want to talk to. I think, and that's how people will then be free because then they'll know that no, if I've forgiven, you know, my husband, then they must also forgive, you know, because at the end of the day, that was just an issue that we were facing at that point in time, you know. So we must become the people that we want to rely on. I think that's what we all need to grow to, so that then because when people can trust us, we can also trust them, if you think about it, because they know it's not going to be repeated, it's not going to be used against them, it's not going to be gossip, you know, it's not going to be, we have their best interests at heart. So I think that's the advice that I would give, that in terms of obviously illegal things, I can't remember the things you mentioned. I don't know if it's illegal, immoral, I can't remember, but you mentioned I think two or three things.
And if it would bring harm to him or something.
Harm to him or something like that, you know. So we must be those people that people will feel safe with. Then you can discuss anything with anybody, because you know that they hope that your influence will rub off onto them. They'll also treat your matters the same way. But I mean, there's nothing that you really can't talk about. Like, I'm thinking of even like, intimacy and those kinds of things, we must talk about them because people won't know, do you get what I'm saying? Like I was just thinking even the other day that there was a time that I would actually pray before my husband and I would be intimate, and I actually realized that I actually don't do it. I don't know why, I don't do it because I wanted God to because it's a blessing to be able to be intimate with this person, because that's the time the only place where intimacy should actually be happening, So it's important that God puts us in the right frame of mind, that we can be open and connect in that deep level, So that's what I'm saying. Some people won't necessarily think about that, but I think we must provide that space that we can talk about those kinds of things. That how do you get around those things so that nothing is taboo, or because we are each other's safe space as members of God's family.
That is why, from what Auntie Paul said now, Sophia, it is important that you have people in your inner circle that you know. But I tell her she's going to take to the grave with her. Unless it is those things that's illegal, immoral, and it's going to cause harm to somebody. So, and you must even know that you can tell your child, you can speak to Auntie Paul. Auntie Paul is going to give you the right advice because she loves the Lord. And she loves you because she loves me and the Father. And if you have people in your inner circle that you can confide in, that person will tell you, listen, I'm out of my depth over here. We've prayed about this. We've looked at scripture. But I think we need another intervention. Perhaps it's time now for you to seek counsel. But you have to have somebody like that who can actually, be that sounding board for you. Lots of the younger women are not in the fortunate position where they can talk to their husbands about anything. In fact, he might be the problem. So you need to have somebody. It's very important that you have somebody who this person is not going to put your laundry out there to dry.
I think that's it. When are you coming back for round 2?
Anytime, my dear.
Yeah, I'll definitely look at my schedule.
One thing that I would like to suggest also, if you can perhaps get the guy's perspective on these things that we were talking about. It might be a completely different perspective to what we have. So, something to think about.
Okay. Well, I think we will have that because we are for a black child, right? Both boys and girls. So yeah. Thank you so much, ladies, for enlightening us and giving us some wisdom. I don't know whether it's sickness. I always say I wish there was a tablet or a pill and then forget. So I won't put any effort into doing anything. I can just take a pill and then it spots into place. But unfortunately there's no pill. There's no pill. I have to make an effort and learn new things.
I read a meme that said you can't over supplement a bad diet. Because people think that they can eat what they want and then they'll just use supplements. But yeah, with everything, you know, there is a balance, and yeah, it will come around. It's not easy when you start, but it's not always going to be that difficult. You know, the difficulty changes with time. Our son has his screensaver. I always have to remind him when he's facing difficulty. It says, smooth seas never made a good sailor. So yeah, always when there's difficulty, you know, I always say to him, what does your screensaver say? That is, you know, all things that are of benefit to us, work must be done for us to attain that.
The same way that we have to work for heaven. Yeah. So you'll come back and discuss how are you still in the shape after all these years?
Round is a shape. So I guess about the whale swims all over the place and they're still in shape.
Okay, let's close. Thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed this one and you have gained something. I think this was very rebooking and enlightening. Yeah, we have to go and put in some work. And with that, guys, it's bye from us. Black Child, what's up?
What's up?